Hey everyone, I'm Tammy Davis, and if you're new to my channel, I'm an internationally certified master clinical phytotherapist with a background in pharmacology. My primary focus is the study of plant constituents and their mechanism of action as it relates to drug development. And the reason that's important is because they're looking, when I talk about mechanism of action, I'm talking about in the human body on genetic receptors. And again, they do focus a lot on plant constituents. And so that's basically what I focus on in my continued research. And when I talk here, and I'm actually starting some other things, and I wanted to let you guys know that I've got a podcast going. If you notice the banner on this channel, it has been changed to, that is actually my photo. It's basically, I'm doing a Q&A with Mother Nature. I'm doing it in podcasts. I'm doing it here. I also have on my website, if you go to synergessence.com, you can sign up there. It is free to join, but it's a blog, basically, a Q&A format where you submit questions and I answer you, whether it's on a personal or just a general level. And I share my insights and ideas based off the research that I have compiled. And like I said, I'm going to be doing that primarily on a podcast, off of, in the blog, off of my website. And I also have a closed group on Facebook called Synergessence, where I will focus primarily on essential oils. And so I think the way I wanted to try to work it is the podcast will be more along the lines of generalized questions. If we get into more, personal physical health issues, then I will keep it in the blog. And if you join me there, and if you join me in the closed group, then I will also guide you in the way of specific essential oils. The reason it's closed, it is all free to join. And the whole idea here is to teach you what I've learned, to share what I've learned so that you can begin to apply this for yourself. Because ultimately, healthcare is not a one size fits all. And what I'm going to be doing on my channels here, I will upload the podcast here, and I'm about to do so with my first one. The first one is titled It's Time to Ask Why, and so I'll be looking for that shortly. But one of the things I want to do here, I want to kind of start a segment on full disclosure. And what I mean by that is kind of talking about myself, what I do, why I do it, and I'm just going to do it one thing at a time. And primarily what I mean is in the way of nutrient-rich foods, supplements if there's supplements involved, and eventually working my way into oils. But like I said, I wanted to start here because there is a method to my madness. There are reasons why I do what I do, and it's not just because I'm out to turn the world upside down when it comes to healthcare, but I am attempting to evolutionize our approach to health in the sense that stress and disease are not bad things. Stress is essentially the body in chronic stress, not chronic stress mode, but chronic survival mode. Also, or you can say it on, full-time high alert. And that's not a bad thing. That's actually the body working in our favor, but there's a lot of things that occur when that happens. And that's what I talk about in my podcast. The other thing is, like I said, disease is not a bad thing. It's actually a sign that the body has been in chronic survival mode for a very long time. We haven't picked up the messages, and therefore now we have to pay attention. But the challenge that we're facing right now is we are addressing things at the symptom level. We are attempting to relieve the symptoms and even though that does benefit and some degree of stress relief, it is not relieving the stress at the cellular level. And so the body is not it's not deactivating the oxidative stress that it's producing. You see oxidative stress as a result of consistent high alert, survival mode, stress response. That is what oxidative stress is from. So we are actually meant to produce those chemicals. There is a good reason for those chemicals, but we also have the ability to turn those chemicals off. And when that no longer happens, we see inflammation and disease. Some people are unfortunately living with conditions that don't even get a diagnosis, but diagnoses or not, we're all essentially living with the same thing, which is hormonal fluctuations as a result of chronic survival mode, which then alters the entire system because the chemistry has to change in order to remain in high alert. That's just a matter of fact. And so this is what I'm doing. And like I said, I'm inviting you to join me in these different arenas to begin having these discussions so that I can share with you more specifically the answers to your questions and hopefully help you and inspire you to be able to take the bull by the horns and really get a jump on what's going on with you. Now, that said, like I said, all of this is at no cost. I do know that in the Facebook group, I do, and I've asked even on here, commented about donations, and that's basically because I have to make a living. But this is what excites me. This is what gets me out of bed, and it is why I share everything. It's just, it calls to me. It is what makes me feel crazy sometimes because there's so many things that come up and I hear things out there and it's like, I just really wish I could just start redirecting our thought process. And again, this isn't for everybody. Not everybody's going to align with this, and that's okay. That really is okay. What I'm all about is just sharing my perspective. Again, my insights and my ideas based on the information that I've gathered, and see if it resonates with you. If it doesn't, that's okay. If it does, then super cool, because now we can actually make some changes. But whatever works for you is what's most important. But like I said, I do know that I've talked about donations before. And so one of the things that I'm really doing at this point is, I think, if you're not familiar with me, I work a lot with Amish people. And so when I work with them, it's by phone and mail. I also provide them, in their little villages or in their towns nearby, they can get a hold of a lot of supplements, but they're not necessarily the ones that I recommend. And if they are, oftentimes they're like super, super expensive because they don't get them in large quantities, and so they're like really expensive. And the point to all of that is, I do supply them with my recommended supplements. That's why I'm going to do this full disclosure here. And if I don't necessarily use it myself, I can't even say that. I can't even qualify that because I actually do. Everything that I supply to them or suggest to them, I've tried, I use, or I've used at different times. And the really funny thing about it is I am a Prime member with Amazon. So it's really easy for me to click a button and send directly to them. And that's what I do. And I'm basically wanting to do the same thing with you. And what that means is I am now an Amazon associate. So whenever I showcase something on here and I talk about it, if you appreciate what I'm telling you, feel free to check it out. It may not be something that works for you. But I invite you to subscribe if you haven't already. Please share these videos, like these videos, click on the links in the description box, because those will either take you to my website, they'll take you to an email address that you can contact me directly with. You can follow me on Instagram at TammyDavis8, the same thing on Twitter at TammyDavis8. And also there's going to be a link that will direct you to the product that I'm talking about. You don't have to buy it. You don't even have to click on it. But if you do want to know more about it, I will share what I can here, but please click on that one. If you're going to buy it anyway through them, then why not click on my link? Because that way I can make a little bit of money by helping you. And that's all I'm really trying to do, is really help you get to the point where you feel comfortable in your body with whatever health conditions that you're dealing with. And if additional guidance is needed beyond the recommendations that I make, then hit me up. Like I said, there's three arenas that I'm doing it in, and that's the closed group on Facebook, which is primarily designed around the essential oils. Then I have the blog, basically the membership blog, that on my website. If you just go to synergessence.com, you can sign up there. And there I will do more a specific, what's going on with you, write it out to you, and take your questions and write them out. And I hope to remain really, really busy with that, because this is exciting, again, like I said, for me. And also the podcast. Right now, the podcast will probably come out about once a week. If I can do more, during the week, that'd be great. But the more support I get from you, the more I can provide you. And I really want to kind of get away from doing private consults in the sense that I charge large amounts of money. I just want people to be well. And I want to share what I've learned. And I have always been about truth. And I guess that's really fact. I want to say that. I've always been about fact. I have loved solving mysteries my entire life. And as a result of solving mysteries, I went on this journey, so to speak, through the last 30 years and have uncovered some really interesting information. And some days I feel like I'm a broken record where I just keep saying the same thing over and over again. But the bottom line is that there's a lot of similarities, but there's also some differences. And that's why getting your questions in so that I can be more specific with you would be very beneficial. And the more you ask me, the more I can share my insights. And that way we can actually help more people and we can encourage more people to join in on the conversation. So on that note, today I wanted to talk about something that I had stepped away from for a while, but I sell a lot. I recommend a lot to the Amish people. And like I said, I stepped away from it for a while, primarily because, well, it just was time. I mean, again, not everything I say. So, pardon the hesitation there. What I'm trying to say is that some of the practices that we've adopted have come from the way we write prescriptions, which is, you got to take these pills certain times of the day. There's certain ways to take it. And so we've become very regimented. I mean, even if you look at a supplement bottle, it'll tell you what to take or how much to take and when to take it, to kind of give you a schedule. And while that I do get it on some level, that actually helps us keep a schedule, and then it becomes kind of ingrained and we don't have to think about it. It becomes a thoughtless action that we just take these things. But the fact of the matter is we don't have to do, especially in the way of supplements and nutrient-rich foods, we don't have to do them on a regular daily basis. It's not a prescription. It's just basically a suggestion, and then you work it into your day. And one of the ones what I'm talking about is Anthony's. Well, it's a maca root, and the company that I really like is Anthony's. It is organic. It is gelatinized. And what gelatinized means, and the first time I mentioned that to one of the Amish people, they're like, well, does it look like Jello? And I mean, no, it's actually been exposed to low-grade heat to kind of just begin the digestive process, so to speak, or just kind of make it a little bit more digestible. Apparently, when it's in the raw form, it can be upsetting to the digestive system. And truthfully, when we're dealing with stress and disease, and again, when I say stress, let me emphasize it's not just mental and emotional or physical, it's also environmental, which is something we cannot get away from. So when we are consistently being influenced by external factors, in addition to what's also going on in our own personal lives, it does disrupt the digestive system. So to take something that is going to upset it even further is not recommended. So that's the reason why I like this one. It is, like I said, this particular powder is gelatinized. And my dog just let himself out. Anyway, like I said, it is gelatinized, and it's a really reasonable price on Amazon if you want to check it out. I think it's like $11.99 a pound. You can start off with a teaspoon a day. You can take up to 1 to 2 tablespoons a day. There's no real recommendation. It's basically use it on how you feel. Now, it's very high in nutrients. Like I said, it's a very nutrient-rich food. So there's a little bit of if you're not familiar with maca root, let me explain it to you. And there's different types. So you can look into, because the different types, as far as I'm concerned, basically just have different flavors. Because there's different types, it's not unlike an essential oil in the sense that, the chemical makeup is going to be a little bit different. That's the reason why it is different. But nutritionally and physiologically, the effects are very similar. On that note, the way we came to understand maca root was this was something that was used in South America by the natives of South America many years ago, I mean, a long time ago. The warriors, when they knew they were going to be going into battle, they would chew on the root for about 2 weeks. I guess the story is about, for a while before they knew they were going to go into battle, and they had increased energy and stamina, mental clarity, and so forth. So there's a lot of, so because they were having this experience, of course, this is what science does, is they study plants and their effects on the body, and this is what they've come to find out. It's considered an adaptogenic, which means it basically helps your body adapt to stress. I particularly like maca root because not only is it nutrient rich, meaning it has all your vitamins and your minerals, it's high in phytonutrients, it's got great essential fatty acids in it, proteins, enzymes, fiber. It's just an exceptional food. I've actually recommended it countless times when I was working within treatment facilities. It does work. You can take this or eat this alongside MAOI and medications. It doesn't necessarily. I don't recommend it for anybody who is taking. Well, I can't really go into the list of medications right now, but there's a number of medications that I don't recommend it with that are, significantly working on the hormonal system. And the reason for that is because, like I said, it's an adaptogenic that helps the body process stress a little bit differently. So it actually helps it, it kind of keeps it more stabilized. But it's very influential on the hormonal system. And that's the reason why I'm saying we have to use caution when it comes to certain medications. If you have questions about that, and if you're on taking medications and you're wanting to know, just shoot me an email and share. Let me know what your medications are, and I will double check that information for you and then let you know. But again, it's not something you don't have to take it every single day. It is very nutrient rich, and it's got a nutty flavor. I do know you can get it in capsule form, but if you think about it, those capsules aren't very large, and if you're going to be taking up to a tablespoon of this a day, or 1 to 2 teaspoons a day, that's quite a few capsules. That's a lot of pills to swallow. And it has a nutty flavor. It works really well into your smoothies. And if you want to do it in a smoothie, if you want to do it in a smoothie bowl, or if you want to, I like to put it on my salads. Truthfully, I think it's really tasty on a salad. So, as I mentioned, it's very influential on the hormonal system. It is also very beneficial for the immune system. And as I mentioned, when it comes to the mind and the nervous system, the brain, basically the nervous system, it helps with sleep, helps to regulate sleep. It's exceptional for both men and women. I really, again, if you're taking testosterone, I don't necessarily think you should be taking this, because this will actually improve testosterone levels, and it helps the body adapt to stress. And again, when we are under stress, the hormonal system is dysregulated, so to speak. And so the hormonal system, basically the hormones are being used for other reasons. And so we see men with low T struggling to keep muscle tissue on, developing fat. We see the same thing with women. This is hormonally related. Maca root will help with that. But again, if you're taking testosterone, then you don't want to do this side by side. But this, so again, if you have any questions about it, let me know. Also, on thyroid medication, I have recommended this and worked with people who have taken this along thyroid medication. Nothing wrong with it, as long as your physician is testing your blood, checking your blood regularly, because we want to make sure that the numbers are stabilized. And as we see your thyroid hormones kind of come back into balance, we maybe less of a need to take that, because the maca root is helping. So these are some things that we have to take into consideration. I realize it's a food, but it's a superfood. Okay, it's a very powerful food, and so you want to use it, you want to eat it, but you want to, again, maybe once or twice a week. Okay, it doesn't have to be on a regular set schedule. So why did I bring it back into my life? Well, number one, I've been recommending it for a number of years now, and this very particular product, I have a lot of clients that really get good results out of it. I've seen women in menopausal symptoms just completely dissipate. Sleep cycles are regulated. It enhances mood. It enhances the ability to focus. So there's been a lot of benefits for that. And I myself have been there's been a lot of changes going on in my life. And as a result, my sleep started to suffer. And I'm going to say emotionally, I was probably a train wreck at some point. I just really was struggling on a number of levels. And also because of my age, I don't want to take hormone replacement at my age. And at the same time, I have to keep my hormonal system. I'm not immune to this world. I mean, I'm just like everybody else. So I started taking it back into my salads about a week ago. And within 2 nights, I was back to sleeping like a baby. And just really, really comfortably, just because a lot of the times when I was sleeping or going to bed at night or in the middle of the night, I would wake up and my mind would be racing. And sometimes it was a panic attack because I maybe was worried about something coming up, or just often, or more often than not, it was more about me just kind of like mentally wrestling with different things, kind of scripting certain things. It was just kind of a little bit too much. So I brought this back into my life, and everything has quieted down, and I feel a whole lot more stable. So that's the only change I made. That was it. I mean, I do change my oils on a regular basis, depending on how I feel, but that was the biggest significant change that I brought into my life. I mean, it even helps with digestion, truthfully. I mean, because when I tell people I was born anxious, I have struggled with digestive issues most of my life that I can recall. I know that when I was a young child, even though they weren't really talking about IBS at the time, I really fully believe that I was dealing with IBS, because without ever having to eat anything by, late afternoon before supper time, the gas would build up in my stomach. I would be so bloated and in so much pain that I would be buckled over and just trying to relieve it. I did have an awful lot of issues with constipation. I won't even go into my drama around constipation as a child. But again, like I said, I've told people I was born anxious, and I'm not kidding. And so when I get to the point in my life where there's a lot of change happening, I actually was feeling kind of stuck. I was really feeling lacking clarity, truthfully. And my sleep was a wreck. And I was doing all those things. To be truthful, the IBS was just killing me. It just so much pain, and just didn't make any difference. I could be fine all day, then all of a sudden it just would start to tweak. So the inclusion of this into my life right now has been really helpful, and it's kind of just eased all of that up. Now, I do want to go on record as saying that my lifestyle basically is nutrient-rich foods and essential oils. I do take I do take some supplementation and supplements, which I will share with you in the future. But for the most part, that is all I do. So my responses to these things don't have to be your responses. Again, I make these suggestions because they've worked for me, but it's just like anybody who writes a diet book. They've done the diet, it worked for them. And so I'm making the suggestion for you to kind of hear it for yourself, to see if it even is a fit for you. And if it is, then by all means check it out. If it's not, then that's okay too. But also, please don't expect the same results that I've had. Yours may take a little bit longer. Yours may actually be faster. I don't know. It's your body's going to respond to it, how it is going to respond. But like I said, I minimalize the amount of extra stuff that I do, meaning supplements or nutraceuticals, and I do not take any medications. So my body kind of responds rather quickly. And the fact that I pour oils every single day, besides putting my own oils on, I'm exposed to a lot of essential oils, and I'm getting a lot of benefit from them, and comparatively speaking. And so that said, that's the reason why I feel like I responded so well. But again, you might too. But if you don't, please don't be discouraged. If you don't get what you're looking for or what you're hoping for, again, don't hesitate to hit me up. I'm not, again, I don't believe in one size fits all. And again, there's also reasons to kind of regulate what you do. How do I not regulate, but consider what you're going to bring in. If you're already doing a bunch of other things, then it may not be to your advantage to include maca root into your life. But I really love it. And if you don't, here's the great thing. If you don't eat it all, because this is a pound, and I'm not going to go through all of this, I'll stick it in my freezer. It keeps in the freezer. So it's really a great, it's great. It's just really great. Like I said, you can pick it up at Amazon for $11.99. If you are a Prime member, you can have it in 2 days. And that's that. And you stick it in your freezer and, take a spoon out and sprinkle it on your salad or put it in your smoothies, and you're good to go for the day. I have to tell you that there was one client of mine, doesn't live far here. He lives on the north side of Santa Fe, and he was up to 2 pots of coffee a day and dragging ass by the afternoon. And I started working with him, and I started him on the maca root. And the next thing he knew, he was no longer felt the need to drink coffee. He wasn't having to drink that much coffee because he was getting the energy and the stamina, and his sleep was better. And he could sustain throughout the day. This is also very good for helping to boost your sexual desires. Sorry, I wasn't I just kind of blanked out there. I didn't know how I wanted to say that. But if when we get to a certain point in our life, sometimes that tends to kind of wane. But that doesn't mean that you're too old, and it's not age related. According to my understanding, I get how we say things are age related. Okay, so as we get older, this happens and this happens. But the way I see it, it's because the body's been in chronic survival mode for so long that it's exhausted, and yes, sexual desire is diminished, among other things. So there is a decline in health, but it's not because of we're getting old. It's more along the lines that our bodies have been inundated from the moment we were conceived, and it's getting progressively harder on us given the world that we live in today. So that said, this maca root will actually make a big difference in that arena too, and help kind of bring back that sensual feeling, and to be able to enjoy your partner, because that's an important part to our lives as well, is that intimacy and that love. Because you know what, touch does a lot for the hormonal system. So on that note, I leave you to consider this suggestion, and I welcome your questions. Tammy@synergessence.com. Again, also feel free to follow me on Instagram or Twitter, @TammyDavis8. And all of these links will be in the description box below, as well as a link to the maca root. And again, consider it. And if it's not for you, I completely understand. But I welcome your questions. All right, don't forget that. Thanks for watching, and be looking for my podcast. You can I'll put a link in the description box to this one, but I will also post it as an audio on here. But feel free to to follow me over there, and subscribe to my podcast so that you get them as soon as they come up. All right, thanks for watching. You guys have a beautiful day. Bye now.